Hello, everybody, and welcome to the most credible show on WTOP 10. That, of course, is Laker Connections. I'm Aaron Valentino.
And I'm Brian Rudman.
Oh, right. Before we start the show tonight, we are aware that some statements were made on Tuesday about the credibility of the show and Brian and I's integrity. These statements will be addressed at the end of tonight's show. Also, a big happy birthday to Lisa Valentino. Hi, Mom. Okay, Brian, without further ado, let's start the show.
All right, absolutely. Well, first off, happy birthday, Mrs. Valentino. We start the show with a look to the past. It was an up-and-down week in Lakers sports with plenty of action, but we'll start on the diamond with some softball where the Lakers just wrapped up a doubleheader earlier today. Aaron, what do we have?
Well, Brian, the Lakers, they had two sets of doubleheaders taking on Houghton College and RIT. Both games that were won by the Lakers were pitched by Fiona Higgins, who is on a dominant stretch so far. So, Brian, what did we see from the Lakers in these two sets of doubleheaders?
Well, you know, starting with today, it was kind of a back-and-forth affair, tight throughout the end. It was a walk-off single that could have been ruled a fielder's choice, but it was ruled a single, so good for the Lakers there. 2-1 win, and then the second one, 4-2, back and forth once again. Lakers fell behind early, tied it up, and took the lead, and then wound up losing it. But to your point, Fiona Higgins has been phenomenal. We'll take a look at her later in the show, but when we get to this full screen about what went down today, the Lakers, they just played really well in game one. Fiona Higgins, when she's on the mound, this team is dominant. She had 14 strikeouts today, and then you look at their defense. They play strong defense behind Higgins, and the hitting, it needs to start coming around a little bit more. We'll talk about that later in the show about what needs to improve for this team to start taking these splits to sweeps. But overall, going 2-2 in these doubleheaders, it's not that bad.
Yeah, I mean, both games that were won by Lakers, like you said, were pitched by Fiona Higgins. It's not exactly a recipe for success. Here you see the full screen of what happened today in game one and game two. Oh, full screen. That's an interesting concept. Sports Talk, start taking notes. But the offense does need to come around a little bit more. The only person that's really hitting it all right now is Zoe Menning, and she is ripping the cover off the ball, batting upwards of near 400. They've got a game against St. John Fisher this week. Before conference play starts, they really got to get the offense going before SUNYAC play begins.
Yeah, absolutely. That full screen there, you know, you may not be familiar with it if you watch
Yeah,
Sports
if you watch
Talk.
Sports
You may
Talk.
not be familiar with the concept. Moving to the lacrosse field, it was a rough day for the Oswego State women's lacrosse team in Nazareth yesterday as the Golden Flyers took down the Lakers 14-10. A one-goal game at halftime, but it was a 5-0 run to start the third quarter by the Golden Flyers that took control of the Lakers. Fall to 0-4 on the road this year. Aaron, what went wrong here?
Yeah, this is just another standard day for the Oswego State Lakers in this year. And by that, I really mean a standard day for the Oswego State offense. It was the Julia Quirk and Sela Wiley show. 7 out of the 10 goals that were scored today by the Lakers were, of course, scored by Julia and Sela, the two stars for this Lakers team. And I think they're just happy to get out of conference play at this point. They went 1-6 in conference play so far this year. They've got all SUNYAC play coming up. And the offense, again, as you can see here, it's been Sela Wiley and Julia Quirk through the first couple of games. Julia Quirk has 17 goals and 17 points. Sela Wiley's got 15 goals, 20 points overall. So these two are really catalysts for the Oswego State offense at this point, and it's going to need to pick up before conference play. They played a couple tough teams, played a couple close games. Now they're getting ready for SUNYAC.
Yeah, it was a tough out-of-conference schedule to start the year, right? We said 1-6, but I think the biggest takeaway is that we need to see this Lakers team find some more scoring. They need to score in depth. It can't just be Sela Wiley and Julia Quirk doing all the work here for the Lakers, because teams are going to sniff that out. We saw it last year where Sela Wiley got off to a red-hot start, and she continued it throughout the year, but the team didn't find ways to win games because it was the one offensive weapon that was consistent. Same thing with Quirk this year. We need to start seeing other players score in bunches if we're going to see this team start to take some wins.
As they say, there is no I in team. I wasn't on camera, so you didn't see me do a nice little pose there. But moving on,
it looked good.
Yeah, it looked good. Moving on to some men's lacrosse now, as the Oswego State men's team won both of their conference matchups this week versus Keuka College, where they won that one 19-4, and then yesterday at Laker Turf beat the Utica Pioneers by a final score of 18-8. The Lakers begin conference play this Sunday against Potsdam. Brian, things are rolling right now for some men's lax.
Yeah, especially yesterday. That 18-8 win, boy, oh boy. They got off to a red-hot start, and we'll talk about this guy later. But it was Weston Gray leading the way, and Ryan Eccles shortly behind him, and Gavin Elston also helped out. It was a three-headed monster for the Lakers yesterday. I mean, Eccles' goal was just something pretty in the first first quarter. We'll see it in a minute. But these three guys were just on fire. They were rolling. All cylinders were firing. You take a look at the highlights here, and they were just really, really good. You take a look at Eccles' goal here. Just wait for him to make a move here. He'll go in, and he'll go behind the back. Yeah. It was special. You take a zoomed in look. It was absolutely gross. Beautiful goal there.
Yeah, and you also look at the VO here. That's also something that Sports Talk viewers, they're not familiar with either. But, you know, we have the triple split as well. Our crew here at Laker Connections
just phenomenal.
Yeah, just phenomenal and doing much better than Sports Talk did last Tuesday night. Anyway, Weston Gray and Ryan Eccles, they absolutely had a day. And it's been a lot of Weston Gray to start the year. Ryan Eccles is really starting to come around now with 5 goals yesterday. He is going to be a really important piece for them going forward for the rest of the season. Last year when the Lakers went 0-7, it was all Weston Gray. He was their only source of offense. So now you're getting a little bit of Ryan Eccles in there. You're getting some other guys involved, and they're going to begin conference play this Sunday, and they are rolling right now.
Yeah, and Eccles is just a big guy. You look at him, he's just bigger than everybody on that lacrosse field. All right, we're going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere because coming up, it's the opening weekend in SUNYAC play for both lacrosse teams, and later, Aaron and I will address the heinous claims made by the JV show of WTOP 10. You're watching Laker Connections. Don't go anywhere, folks.
Athletics. Aaron, there were 6 big points. This is the one you've been waiting for. This group has never beaten Cortland.
Getting started with some men's soccer as the Lakers had 2 conference matchups
for half of the Lakers' goals this entire season.
Offense is key. You talked all about scoring goals.
Good evening and welcome to WTOP 10 Nightly News.
For the governor race with a strong lead, former Governor Andrew Cuomo is...
Barlow announced the completion of a large building mural in downtown Oswego.
The renovations on the Hewitt Union building, turning it into the new Hewitt Hall.
And as we move into tomorrow, that rain is going to be in our area.
Moving to the Diamond now, as Sweet Caroline got a lot sweeter last night.
Life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
We've been marinating chicken in all sorts of liquids for 24 hours. These are vitamins and minerals and things that you need, nutrients. The chicken speedy is a staple of our culture.
Welcome back to the Varsity Show on WTOP 10. That is, of course, Laker Connections. Let's take a look at what both Oswego lacrosse teams are doing this week. Brian, how are Sela Wiley and company looking for the week ahead?
Well, Aaron, it's a pretty big week and a pretty big game for the Lakers squad coming up this Saturday. The Lakers come in at just 1-6 on the year, but they get a good matchup this Saturday against the Fredonia Blue Devils, a team that they are 14-10 against all time, including a 5-game winning streak right now featuring last year's 16-10 win to open the season. Aaron, what's it going to take for the Lakers to grab the SUNYAC opener this week?
I was in class with Isabella Lembo this week, and she was very excited that SUNYAC play is finally starting up and they're finally out of those conference games. This is a really good opportunity for them to get their first conference win of the year. They haven't lost to Fredonia since 2015. And Fredonia, they are 0-5 to start the year. So this is a chance for them to really break out, get started in conference play, get their first conference win of the year. You're going to need big games from, all your heavy hitters. Isabella Lembo, Sela Wiley, Julia Quirk. They're all going to have to play their brand of lacrosse. And again, if you're in non-conference play for this long and you're 1-6, it's not exactly the most inspiring thing to get the team motivated. Well, now you're in conference play and you have teams that you're going to be able to beat. And at the end of the day, as you like to say, Brian,
that's right.
Conference play is really all that matters at this point.
Right. It's a breath of fresh air for this Lakers team. And what I'm really looking for is Sela Wiley in this game. Last year, it was kind of a coming out party for Wiley when they played Fredonia in their season opener. She scored 5 goals and had 2 assists. And I remember watching that game, the first game they had played in over a year, and you go, hey, that girl's, she's pretty darn talented. She's pretty good at lacrosse. So I'm excited to see what Wiley brings to the table. I think she's going to follow that one up. The performance she gave against Fredonia last year, I expect her to follow that up with a pretty strong game on Saturday when they face off at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one for sure. This Sunday, the Oswego State men's lacrosse team also starts conference play, this time against the Potsdam Bears. The Lakers are looking for their first SUNYAC win since April 27th of 2019. The last time the Lakers played Potsdam was also in April of 2019, where they won that one by a final score of 11-9. Potsdam is 3-2 on the year and haven't started conference play. So Brian, what are the Lakers looking at in this Sunday matinee?
Well, they're looking to keep the momentum rolling, right? They're on a 4-game win streak right now. They looked really good against Cayuga and Utica this week. I expect them to have a very nice game, right? The Bears are a team that the Lakers, I think they should be able to edge out, right? The Lakers have that 3-headed monster in Gray, Eccles, and Elston that we talked about. They're playing really good defense. Their goalie looks phenomenal right now. And this Potsdam team, I think this is one that the Lakers should be able to handle. Now, granted, first time they're playing Potsdam since 2018, right? Last year, they had an all SUNYAC schedule. However, they split it into 2 divisions. They were in separate divisions, so the Lakers did not play the Bears last year. So the first time the Bears are making the trip here to Oswego since 2018. The only member of the team currently on there that played was Weston Gray. He had a goal and assist in the matchup against Potsdam the last time they played, so we'll have to see. The Lakers have had success against this team all time and at home, but it's been pretty even in the last 10 matchups.
Yeah, this team is rolling right now, and they are hungry, looking for their first SUNYAC win since 2019. And similar to the women's team, they also haven't lost to Potsdam since 2015, similar to the women's team with Fredonia. It's a really good chance to get their first win in the SUNYAC. They went 0-7 last year in play, so they are looking for their first SUNYAC win. They didn't get a chance to do it in 2020. They didn't have any SUNYAC matchups because of the 4 games that they played.
Yeah, something like that.
Games, something like that. So they're hungry, and Sean Eccles is really looking forward to getting his first dibs at SUNYAC
Absolutely.
play.
Those returners are looking to get into it.
But for now, we are going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. When we come back, Brian and I will take a look at what's happening on the diamond this week for Laker sports. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Laker Connections on WTOP 10.
Good evening and welcome to WTOP 10 Nightly News.
For the governor race with a strong lead, former Governor Andrew Cuomo is...
Barlow announced the completion of a large building mural in downtown Oswego.
The renovations on the Hewitt Union Building, turning it into the new Hewitt Hall.
And as we move into tomorrow, that rain is going to be in our area.
Moving to the diamond now, as Sweet Caroline got a lot sweeter last night.
Major Discussions is the new show that explores the stories of students right here on campus. I personally came here to SUNY Oswego for the broadcasting program because I love to hear people's stories and to do work just like this.
What's going on? I'm leaving. Why? What did I do? Not enough. The pressure's too much. I quit. I get it. I can do better. Just please don't leave.
Don't let your heart quit on you. Get your uncontrolled high blood pressure to a healthy range before it's too late.
Welcome back, and as our good friend Joey Pulaski put it, this is the superpower of sports shows on WTOP 10, Laker Connections. It's time to take a look at the diamond to see what's in store for the Lakers. Aaron, why don't you start us off with some softball?
Let's do it. The Oswego State softball team has 2 games coming up this weekend against St. John Fisher. However, the Lakers have not beaten the Cardinals since 2006. These are their last 2 games before conference play begins, and it will be a doubleheader at Laker softball field. So, Brian, what are we looking at for this matchup this week?
Well, Aaron, as our good friend Jake Johnson, who will be joining us shortly, likes to say, this is a good news, bad news situation. Bad news, Lakers haven't beaten the Cardinals since 2006. They're 9-23 all time, and they're on a 7-game losing streak. The good news is that they haven't played since 2011, and St. John Fisher is 0-8 so far this year. So a chance for the Lakers to get in the win column. We're going to assume that, right, Fiona Higgins is going to get an appearance on the mound, and you know, you take a look at what she's done this year. Ignore the 3-3 record.
She's Jacob deGrom.
Take a look at the ERA. That is a sub-1 ERA right now, folks. She is on fire, 64 strikeouts. She just got her 100th career strikeouts. Congratulations to her. I mean, this is exactly what the Lakers need, because right now they're only scoring 1.63 runs per game. I did the math. So when Higgins is on the mound, they're winning some games. Granted, she's only 3-3 on the year. The Lakers have needed her to come up big, and she has. But the Lakers, they got to start getting the offense going. We mentioned it earlier in the show. Zoe Mennig, she's hitting 387 on the year, but she's really been the only consistent one.
Fiona Higgins is the Jacob deGrom of SUNYAC play, right? An ERA under 1, a 500 record. It's unbelievable. But, Brian, you're right. This is a really good opportunity for the Lakers before conference play starts to get the offense going. Zoe Menning's been ripping the cover off the ball. She continues to need to do that. So this Oswego State softball team, a good chance. St. John Fisher, 0-8 in the year. They haven't won a game. You're at home. It's in a Saturday afternoon. Get it done.
Absolutely. All right, moving now to the baseball team. It's been a long break for the Lakers as they are not taking the field again until Wednesday, when they will host their home opener against the Cobleskill Fighting Tigers in a doubleheader. Oswego State will look to improve upon their 10-3 record after a strong spring break trip. Aaron, the Lakers, they enjoyed their trip to Florida and that sun. What will it take to make sure that they didn't leave the wins and baggage claim?
That was really good.
Thank you.
I'll give you credit there. So this baseball team has lost 3 games this year. 2 of them have been to the #1 team in the country in Salisbury. I don't know if they're at the absolute wagon of a team status, as our good friend Joey Pulatsky likes to say. I don't know if they're quite there yet, but Coach Landers will not let this team stop. They play a game against 2 games against SUNY Cobleskill this Wednesday, and then next Wednesday, and then we'll play New Paltz this coming week. So this is a chance for the Lakers to get started. You look at the full screen here of some Oswego State players that have been absolutely ripping the cover off the ball. And Brian, again, this team, they're on a roll. Coach Landers likes to play a tough schedule for them. They've been playing great, and I expect them to keep playing great.
Absolutely. I mean, Ryan Enos on the left and Paul Tamaro on the right of your screen, they've been phenomenal. They both hit for average, they both hit for power, and they both rack up the RBIs. That's a pretty good 1-2 punch at the top of their lineup. I mean, Enos is top 3 in OPS in D3 baseball. That's pretty phenomenal right there. The one thing I am interested to see with these upcoming games on Wednesday is how Coach Landers handles the pitching staff, right? Because they do have that SUNYAC opener on Friday against New Paltz just 2 days later. So I'll be interested to see how he handles who he's going to throw. We may not see Finnegan or Van Fossen, but we'll have to see who he winds up trotting out there on the mound for those 2 doubleheader games, because that's ultimately 5 games in a matter of 4 days. So you got to be a little wary about the pitching staff. All right, folks. We're going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. When we come back, it's Laker Showdown as Jake Johnson joins us, and we settle the score with a few clowns. We'll be right back.
This job looks perfect. It says you need a high school diploma. You've got one of those, right?
Skip the drama. Get your diploma.
I got that.
Find free adult education classes at finishyourdiploma.org.
Major Discussions is the new show that explores the stories of students right here on campus. I personally came here to SUNY Oswego for the broadcasting program because I love to hear people's stories and to do work just like this.
Hey, Jakey J is back for your favorite segment on the show. And honestly, it's probably the best segment on WTOP 10. None of the sports talk business. I don't really know what's going on there.
Right there.
But it is time for Lakers Showdown, the most amazing 4.5 minutes of television. 3 questions with 6 remarkable answers. Which fine young man will come out on top in this debate? How about we get started with this first question? Alrighty. The Oswego State men's baseball team has finally reached the top 25 rankings. The Lakers currently sit at number 21 on the D3 National Rankings poll. The Lakers baseball has recently defeated number 1, a sweep at number 18, number 11, and number 13, John Hopkins. My question to you guys is, will this Laker baseball team crack the top 10 at one point this season in the national polls? Aaron, I'm going to let you start.
All right, let's get right into it. I'm going to go with yes. The SUNYAC is a very, very, very solid conference. They got to play Cortland 3 times in a 3-game set, who is currently the number 7 team in the country, and they already have an impressive resume. I'm going to compare them to the Oswego State basketball team. The Oswego State basketball team started to get some national attention when they beat some ranked teams, kind of early, late-ish in the season. Baseball starting
early, late-ish.
Yeah, early, late-ish.
That's a new one for me.
Baseball is starting a little bit earlier with their big games at the beginning of the year, and now they have a bunch of SUNYAC games for the rest of the year, which is exactly what the basketball team did. Well, Oswego, when they kept blowing those teams out, they shot up the rankings. They're already shooting up the rankings now. I'm going to say yes.
All right. This isn't a knock on the Oswego State baseball team. They're very good. The thing is, right now they're at 23, excuse me. There aren't many teams ahead of them that they're going to play, so not many more opportunities for them to move up, right? Cortland's been dropping lately. They have 6 losses on the year already, but that's really their only chance. They have a respectable opponent in a single game against Rochester, but it's hard to move up in the standings when you don't play many more ranked teams, and we saw that with the basketball team.
They got up to
They did, but
14,
the thing is that they didn't get the
11.
national respect that they got until they started playing in the tournament. And also, yes, this team's good right now, but Finnegan has really been the only consistent pitcher the Lakers have.
All right, Brian. I honestly, this is hard. I agree with both of you, but I'm going to have to go with Aaron, just frankly because I think Coach Landers really can get it done for this team. I don't think they'll crack too far into 10, but they'll be at least 10 or 9.
All right, fair enough.
Aaron, he's at 1. Next question. The Oswego State men's lacrosse team is in action this Sunday, taking on the SUNY Potsdam Bears. Now, SUNY Potsdam comes into town 3-2. Senior Weston Gray has been a star this season on the turf, accumulating 23 total points. He has 72 in his career, needing just 28 to join the 100-point club. So, guys, do you guys think he's going to join this prestigious club for the Laker lacrosse team? Brian, you start this time.
All right, so I'm going to use my the MBA that I'm currently going for to do a little bit of math here and say that he is right on pace to get the amount of points that he needs in order to get this. Last 17 points have come in 4 games. This guy is on fire right now, and you watch this team play. The offense runs through him. He gets a lot of chances in close on the goal, and he takes advantage. Look at that. In his career is to the left, and then in parentheses is this season. 32 games, 7 this season, 52 goals, 17 this season. He's been phenomenal. A vastly improved team, which means the defense can't just hone in on Gray. I already set a career high for goals, points, shots, assists this season. We're only halfway through, not even 7 out of 15 games.
All right,
this guy's been phenomenal. There's no shot he's not reaching
I'm going to go
it.
with no, because the pace he's at right now is absolutely red hot, and that's not necessarily going to play out over the course of the season. Plus, now they're getting into SUNYAC play. You're seeing teams that are more familiar with them, and they're going to know, similar to last year, they went 0-7 last year, hey, the only offense is going to come through Weston Gray, so we are going to cover him as much as possible.
We talked about how deep they are this year already.
Weston Gray is still the leading scorer. You want to be able to cover the top guy. And to start the season, yes, and he's at a red-hot pace
but
right
they
now.
got deeper.
That's going to slow down as the season starts.
I'm with Brian just on this one because I think that you raised the point of there's so many different guys, you can't hone in on Weston Gray. He's going to be a guy that's going to be open a lot of the time. So here we are. Final question for all of the marbles tied up at 1. Oswego State softball is working through their spring season, and Fiona Higgins is continuing to impress on the mound. She's currently boasting a .83 ERA and 64 strikeouts. She's only allowed 4 earned runs. She is and has been the ace for this Lakers squad. My question to you guys is, will Fiona Higgins finish this season with a 1.25 ERA or lower? Aaron, deciding question. I'll let you start.
Yeah, I'm going to go with absolutely. She has been absolutely dominant the entire year. She has not missed a beat. She's thrown a no-hitter, and I got to be honest, I think she's going to throw another one soon. That is exactly how dominant she has been this season. She's one of the only reasons the Lakers softball team has been able to win this season. In fact, they have 3 wins on the season. All 3 of those games, Fiona Higgins has been the one to pitch. Her batting average against right now is 137. She's not even allowing base runners, let alone runs right now. Fiona Higgins is absolutely going to hit that mark. She has been fantastic.
Listen, it's hard to argue with that, but the biggest thing to me is that this team plays a tough remaining schedule, and it's mainly SUNYAC teams who are familiar with her, right? And it's much harder for a pitcher. We see this all the time, second and third time through the order, with teams that are familiar with you. They know how to hit you. And we saw it last year, right? She's been dominant this year, and it's been great. But last year in SUNYAC, there were a couple games where she didn't pitch up to her potential. She's gotten off to a phenomenal start, already a no-hitter. I think it's a bit much to be calling for another one. I get she's talented. But in order to have a 1.25 ERA the rest of the year, you have to pretty much pitch 1 earned run per game.
And she will.
And that's just extremely tough to do in conference play.
And she did it against some of their tougher opponents.
All right. Deciding vote here. I got to go with Brian. The non-conference teams don't know Fiona Higgins that well. The SUNYAC teams have seen her for the last 2 or 3 years, and it's going to be up and over a little bit.
I'm really worried for about what's coming right now.
Well, anyways, I'm going to hand it back to Brian and Aaron, who will address the recent fraudulent accusations from a certain group of WTOP 10 TV personalities who try and put on a show every Tuesday night.
All right, well, as some of you may know, the boys of Sports Talk have been attempting to discredit Laker connections with some of their Mickey Mouse graphs from a fake professor.
Yeah, let's get that. Let's get those Mickey Mouse graphs up. What's going on there? It's just a complete clown show. So
absolutely.
We have a very special video prepared for the hooligans at Sports Talk from a very special guest. Troy, roll it.
Yeah, we'll take a look at what our special guest has to say here. Here we go. Let's take a look, folks.
Hi, everyone. Brittany Caron's Emmy Award-winning content associate at ESPN coming to you from Bristol, Connecticut. Now, my team and I, we've been here crunching the numbers, and not only did we find that Laker Connections was made more credible by Aaron's statement last week, but that content-wise, Laker Connections has the edge over Sports Talk. Now, we all know ESPN is the worldwide leader in sports, so these facts really aren't up for debate. I want to thank you all for your time, and remember, Laker Connections over Sports Talk.
So there you go.
I mean, if Brittany Caron says it, it's got to be true.
Brittany Caron's former producer of Laker Connections.
Emmy Award winner.
And her team over at ESPN are saying the credibility of this show is better than Sports Talk, and the content is better over here at Laker Connections.
Emmy Award winner right there.
I don't really know if there's any argument. As Brian's been saying, she's an Emmy Award winner.
I mean, when you work in sports, like, come on.
Yeah, you know it's legit. You know what they're saying.
So, listen, I just want to say,
legit.
I hope this has been put to bed. I hope you all now know that we only, as I like to say, we only speak in facts here at Laker Connections, and we just wanted to bring the facts to the viewers
after these fraudulent claims made by the fake
fraudulent claims
Professor
from a
Clown.
Mickey Mouse show, from a Mickey Mouse show, and a Mickey Mouse professor.
All right.
Before we go, I do want to say happy birthday, Miss Valentino.
Happy
Can't
birthday,
wait to see
Miss
you.
Valentino.
Happy birthday, Lisa Valentino.
Look forward to it. All right. That's all the time for the best show on WTOP 10, Laker Connections. We thank you for watching. Be sure to tune in on Saturday, 1 o'clock, women's lacrosse team taking on the Fredonia Blue Devils. But for now, for Aaron Valentino, that's Aaron Valentino, Jake Johnson, and our entire crew in the back, thank you for watching. Have a good night, folks.